Yakovets and the members of his criminal network devised and implemented the kinds of criminal schemes so audacious and sophisticated that they would be difficult to imagine if they were not real.
Russian hackers boarding up the streets of Moscow in $200,000 cars.
Federal prosecutors charged 2 Russian hackers today with ripping off American businesses and schools. The men were so brazen, they named their company Evil Corp. And as Jeff Begaze reports, the name fits.
But before we start, we want to talk about today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid's got a ton of champions, over 600 now. All of those champions come from unique factions, each with their own history in the world of Teleria. And my favorite faction is the High Elves. Their backstory is pretty awesome. Their homeland, Aravia, has been around for thousands of years, surviving the fall of the Lizardmen Empire, helped the humans form into civilizations, and defeated the orcs when they formed a huge horde and attacked the continent. But then things got twisted when Cyroth, the Lord of Darkness, convinced a bunch of elves to go evil and attack the kingdom. The Civil War nearly ended the elves, but Aravia survived, rebuilt, and now it's stronger than ever. Absolutely awesome. My favorite elf champion is Tatora Rimehide. He's a combination of lion, deer, and dragon. I mean, just look at him. He's so cool. And this month is huge for Raid. They just released a brand new faction, the Sylvan Watchers, with some amazing new champions. Forest elves, Ents, druids, fays. They're all here, and I can't wait to summon them all to play with. Also, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can get your exclusive rewards in Raid right now. This is the best time to get started in Raid. And if you click my link in the description or scan my QR code here on the screen, you'll not only support the channel and help us make more videos, but you'll also get unique bonuses worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion, Vergis, 200,000 silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard, so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in-game. All this treasure will be waiting for you. But be quick, because this special will only be available for the next 30 days. Just click the link in the description, and I'll see you in the game. 2011. United States, California. Angela Casados, a woman looking for a job, just sent an email to a certain Western Co., a company looking for people to perform simple administrative tasks from the comfort of their home. 2 days after sending her application, Angela gets a reply telling her that she got the job. She tells her friends and family, and they have a small party. But what she doesn't know is that instead of a dream, this job would end up being a nightmare that ties her into a global banking fraud scheme which will ruin her life forever. The next day, she signs up, and just a few hours later gets her first assignment, a simple report on the economic situation of her city. She does what she is told, and is given a few more easy tasks, which she completes without any issue. However, 2 weeks later, she's asked to withdraw a considerable sum of $99,000 that a customer sent to her account. After withdrawing the money, she is asked to send it to 3 Russian bank accounts and is told to keep $1,000 as a commission. 2 days later, she goes to her bank and tries to withdraw the money, but receives an error message. She immediately gets a bad feeling and calls her bank.
Hello?
But the bank doesn't give her any useful information and just tells her to wait at the ATM for a few minutes. Something just doesn't seem right. Suddenly, 2 police cars appear. 4 officers quickly get out, draw their guns, and tell Angela to get on the ground. They arrest her, and she is taken to an interrogation room. It turns out that she was arrested for being part of a Russian, Ukrainian, and Moldovan criminal organization that had hacked and stolen $300,000 from a US management company. Confused by what had happened, Angela explains that she worked for Western Co. and only did what she was told. But when the police search for the company, Angela is faced with a harsh reality. The company doesn't exist. Her employment contract is fake, and the website she claims to have used has deleted her account, including messages, tasks, and anything related to her. Even though Angela was tricked, she gets a 3-year prison sentence and is blacklisted from a variety of banking services. Her life had been ruined, and, of course, she also had to return the $1,000 commission. Angela was what is known as a money mule, a person who moves or launders money from criminals so that these can use their stolen funds legally. However, in this case, Angela had no idea that she was a money mule and fell victim to an organization that preyed on vulnerable people to sell them a dream and get them to move their illegal funds.
The FBI says people are being duped into inadvertently laundering money for criminals.
The hackers operated by using banking Trojans, with their most famous malware being called Drydex. As is often the case, they would send an email in which they posed as someone who wanted to work for the victim's company. This email included a CV that consisted of a Word and Excel document. When the victim downloaded and opened these files, they activated macros that had been coded into the documents. These macros are basically instructions that the file will force upon the computer that had opened the infected files. In this case, the macros forced the machine to download and activate the Drydex malware, keyloggers, and in some cases, custom screen recording software. Once the computer was infected, the malware would save all the passwords and usernames related to online banking services. Moreover, it would perform automatic and sometimes manual code injections. Through code injections, fraudulent code is introduced into the computer. This new code will change how different programs, and in some cases, the entire computer, works. In the case of Drydex, it would automatically access the browser on the victim's machine, log into their bank accounts, and start sending money to other accounts. And now we have come full circle with Angela again, because these bank transfers would usually be sent to money mules that were living in the same country as the victim. This was done to avoid suspicion from banks. Finally, the money mules would be told to cash out the money and send it to bank accounts that belonged to the criminals. And since the stolen money had been spread out over several money mules, it wouldn't trigger any banking alerts. The Drydex malware would cause over $20 million in damages from 2009 until around 2012, when the mysterious people behind Western Code discovered a massive problem. Their opponents, legal cybersecurity experts, had somehow infiltrated their systems and were sabotaging their operations from the inside, losing them millions upon millions of dollars. 2012. Undisclosed location, United States. Brian Krebs, an American journalist who focuses on cybercrime, gets up, makes his coffee, turns on his PC, and sits down at his desk. He visits a strange website, reads through every message from the last 12 to 24 hours, writes down a few business names, grabs his phone, and proceeds to call them one by one. His message is the same every time.
Hello, my name is Brian Krebs. You probably have no idea who I am, but your payroll accounts have been hacked and you're about to lose a great deal of money. You should contact your bank immediately before it's too late.
It turns out that Krebs and his associates had discovered that the cybercriminals were using extremely simple websites, and in fact, they were so badly made that they had a massive weakness. Anybody could register and see all of the active messages. Through this weakness, cybersecurity experts were able to see which businesses had been hacked and which money mules were about to receive the stolen money. This way, they could alert the victims so that they'd stop any fraudulent transfers. Almost every time Krebs alerted hacked businesses, he got visits from the FBI or other police forces that thought he had something to do with the attacks. It happened so often that in mid-2011 to early 2012, the FBI and CIA finally created a special task force to investigate the Drydex gang. And, of course, whitelist Krebs so that he wouldn't get any more unexpected visits. Everything was set to take these cyber criminals down. A team had been established, their systems infiltrated, and some of their bank accounts had been identified. But then, they suddenly disappeared. Confused as to what had happened, the new task force decided that their best bet was to join Russian and Ukrainian hacking forums and search for clues about the Drydex gang. This is when they came across a strange discussion involving two users called Aqua and Smilex.
We have a problem. Almost everything is offline until AQ figures it out. Smilex, you have fixed your part? Yes. AQ, how long are we down? Not long.
And only a few days later, the Drydex malware suddenly reappeared, and did so with a boom. Thousands of attacks were being registered in a matter of weeks. Over 40 countries had been attacked, over 160 businesses hacked, and nobody knew what was going on. 2014. Undisclosed location, United States. Since the return of the Drydex gang, businesses all around the world were being hacked. In the United Kingdom, it got so bad that their national crime agency had to join forces with a US task force. Their objective was simple: stop these criminals as soon as possible and through any means necessary. Together, they would find small clues here and there, but one name seemed to pop up over and over again: Smilex. This person was on multiple hacking forums and always discussed banking fraud schematics, including credit card theft, online scams, and every now and then talked about Drydex, Bugot, and new money mule systems. September 18, 2014. Undisclosed location, United States. It's late at night, and one of the researchers working with the US task force decided to do something a bit out of the ordinary. He accesses an obscure website on the dark web and manages to buy accounts for a few private cybercrime forums. In these forums, cybercriminals from all over the world discuss new hacks and recruit new hackers for their organizations without any restrictions. He goes through a few of them but finds nothing related to the Drydex gang. But then, as he reads through posts from the last forum he had gotten access to, he finds something interesting. He discovers an account who had been talking about attacks that involved the same companies that had been hacked by the mysterious Drydex group. And the account was none other than Smilex. But this wasn't all. Smilex had also posted an advert saying that he and his organization were searching for talented hackers to create what he called a new age hacking corporation. And on this advert, Smilex also shared his Gmail account for anyone who wanted to contact him. This was a massive mistake by Smilex and would eventually lead directly to some of the most wanted criminals in the world, the Russian government, and to millions upon millions of stolen US dollars. February 10, 2015. Undisclosed location, United States. The task force contacted Google, and after the team got their digital search warrants approved, they were given the ability to access Smilex's account details, as well as the ability to read all of his messages. And it was a gold mine. One of the messages was sent from a hosting provider, a company that basically connects websites to the internet. The company was warning Smilex that his account was about to be disabled and that he should delete the malicious files from his websites immediately. What was even better was that the email contained all of the addresses that contained these malicious files. The investigators then went to see what Smilex had uploaded to those websites and found nothing else than blank websites with very strange things coded into them. The sites contained cryptic texts that nobody understood, and origin files for a special botnet which was none other than the Drydex botnet. In addition to the botnet, there were dozens of mini files spread out over a bunch of other blank websites that, when combined, would create the Drydex malware. Basically, the task force had found the account of the person who was in charge of the entire Drydex malware. But the next message was the real prize. An email that contained Smilex's account details for an underground texting app known as Jabber. Regardless of the strange security behavior of Smilex, the agents didn't waste time and quickly logged into his Jabber account. They went through all of his conversations and saved everything from names to pictures and locations. In these messages, they found several profiles that were connected to the Drydex gang, but 3 users stood out the most: Aqua, Nintuto, and Caramba. These three mysterious usernames discussed business deals, targets for cyber attacks, money laundering, and referred to their organization as Evil Corp. Some of these conversations went into such detail that the investigators managed to find a string of messages that connected Smilex to a real person, a mistake that would change his life forever. The man in charge of recruiting hackers for the Drydex gang was a 30-year-old Moldovan man called Andrei Ginkel. What's even better is that the team of investigators acted so fast that Andrei didn't even notice anything. They used the opportunity to monitor his messages, and only a few days later, Andrei sent a message to Aqua in which he told him that he'd be on vacation. The thing is that he wrote exactly when and where he would be going. August 21, 2015. Paphos, Cyprus. It seemed like the perfect vacation. Sunny weather, crystal clear water, a luxury residence, and beautiful beaches where his wife and daughter were having fun. Andrei and his family were enjoying their luxurious lifestyle to the fullest. What they didn't know was that all of this would be over in a matter of days, and that the reckless actions of Andrei were about to catch up to him. August 28, 2015. Paphos International Airport, Cyprus. The Americans arrived early in the morning, joined up with the Cypriot Special Forces, and immediately began to plan Andrei's arrest. Then, on the evening of the same day, a few minutes after the family returned from the beach, the Cypriot police stormed his residence, arresting Andrei, his wife, and taking their daughter into custody. What had been a week of luxury was over, and Andrei was now locked up in a cold cell in a Cyprus police station before being sent to the central prison of Nicosia, which is known for its highly illegal activities. While in prison, Andrei Ginkel, aka Smilex, was said to have gotten access to mobile phones, which he used to alert other members of Evil Corp. At first, they wanted him to bribe his way out of the situation, but once this proved impossible, they told him to stay in Cyprus at all costs. However, this plan failed, and he was eventually extradited to the US in February of 2016. When news of the extradition reached the rest of the Evil Corp leadership, chaos broke out. All their emails, Jabber accounts, and most of their forum accounts alongside their fake company websites were wiped from the digital web. It was a total reset, but this wasn't enough to save their real identities. The US now possessed one of the most important people of the criminal syndicate, someone who knew everything. 2016, undisclosed location, Eastern Europe. It's a rainy night somewhere in Eastern Europe, and in a matter of 30 minutes, about 12 men enter a building, one after another. The leadership of Evil Corp has decided to come together and discuss the consequences of Andrei Ginkel's arrest, the security of their systems, and what their next moves should be. They come to the agreement that their organization is safe. So far, no information about anyone has been leaked. This means that Andrei Ginkel didn't talk. However, all of this isn't enough for one of the men. The mysterious leader, known as Aqua, recommends completely stopping their banking fraud operations, arguing that ransomware would be easier, safer, and more profitable. To explain it quickly, ransomware is a type of software that, when activated, encodes and locks all the files on a computer, effectively rendering the PC useless. To remove the ransomware, the victim must send a crypto payment to the hackers. Once the attackers get the payment, they will then deactivate the ransomware and everything will be back to normal. Most of the group agrees to move to ransomware, but a third of them insists on continuing their banking fraud operations. After a few hours of discussion, they eventually agree that the group should split up. One of them continues to be called Evil Corp, but ditches the focus on banking fraud for new ransomware focused around a new malware family known as BitPaymer. On the other side, a new group is formed which calls themselves the Drydex RAT Group, and as their name suggests, they continued to use Drydex and banking fraud as their main digital weapons. After the meeting, Evil Corp thought they were safe and ready to expand once again. But they didn't know that while they discussed their future, the US had finally gotten Andrei Ginkel to talk, and the information he was about to reveal would change everything.
Federal prosecutors charged 2 Russian hackers today with ripping off American businesses and schools, even a nursing home.
Yakubets is a true 21st century criminal who, with the stroke of a key and the click of a mouse, committed cyber crimes across the globe. He's earned his place on the FBI's list of the world's most wanted cyber criminals.
That's right. The organization was Russian. It was called Evil Corp.
We estimate that at least 300 different organizations in 43 countries have been affected by these attacks.
What's the likelihood the FBI ever catches these guys?
Yeah, it's rare for the FBI to get their hands on criminals in Russia, so even though the men were charged here, it could happen. But it is highly unlikely that they will ever face U.S. justice.
Evil Corp's biggest nightmare was now upon them. They had been exposed as thieves on the biggest stage there is, and with a bounty of $5 million for some of the leaders, they now had the most powerful nation in the world and a bunch of bounty hunters trying to get their heads. Aqua had been identified as a Russian man called Maxim Yakubets who was in charge of the entire operation, and Nintuto was exposed as a Russian man named Igor Turyshev, who was in charge of the financial side of Evil Corp. The final members of the Evil Corp leadership were Maxim Masilov and Andrei Shkolovoy, 2 men who were behind the account called Karamba, but had seemingly vanished from the face of the earth. After these announcements, Evil Corp fell into complete disorder. Some hackers disappeared. Others allegedly talked to the US to hand over the leaders, and others were said to have been killed. In addition to all of this chaos, the US also sanctioned them, effectively rendering it impossible for US victims to pay their ransom since this would be considered illegal and could cost them more in fines than the ransom itself. So not only had Evil Corp been exposed, but their main way of making money was rendered useless. It was a complete mess, but one thing was certain: they were not going to let the US stop them, and quickly relocated all of their remaining members to the same place, a country that hates the US, happily welcomes and protects hackers, and which has a provision in its constitution that literally prohibits extraditing its citizens to foreign countries. 2020, Moscow, Russia. Evil Corp and its members were being hunted by everyone, but through their quick actions and good connections, they managed to regroup and move into their new headquarters in Moscow. And they had only one objective in mind: rebuild their organization once more and wage all-out cyber war on the US. Surprisingly, this only took them a few weeks, because in early 2020, Evil Corp was associated with threat actor UNC2165, a group of hackers that was extremely similar to Evil Corp and had appeared only a few weeks after the 2019 indictment. Under this new identity, they went all out, using every bit of malware they could to damage businesses in the US and Europe. And while all of this digital warfare was going down, the Evil Corp leaders were posting their lives on social media without any concerns, showing off their luxury cars doing donuts, exotic animals, and them having fun with all of their stolen money. Even though everybody wanted their heads, the Russian, Moldovan, and Ukrainian cybercrime scene hailed them as revolutionary cyber heroes, describing the leaders as visionaries who laid the foundation for the current cybercrime organizations. With managers, working times, customer service, and even promotions for stealing more than others. They were quite literally a hacking corporation, and by now they had made over $220 million with all of their attacks, and caused over $130 million in collateral damage to the international economy. All of this was, and is, of course, highly illegal. But cybercrime syndicates like Evil Corp are so closely associated with the Russian intelligence services that they get a free pass to do whatever they want. But this goes a lot deeper than just simple connections to the FSB. In 2017, Evil Corp leader Maxim Yakubets was actively working for the FSB, where he was tasked with, quote, acquiring confidential documents through cyber-enabled means and conducting cyber-enabled operations on its behalf, unquote. Which basically means to hack Russia's enemies and steal important documents from them. Even worse is that in 2018, only a few months before the famous indictment, American hackers revealed that Yakubets was actually in the process of acquiring his license to be able to get access to classified information for the FSB. This cements his connection to the FSB even further and asks the question, what might he be up to today? And if the Evil Corp controversy put an end to his FSB ambitions. However, since the FSB never announced his departure, he's probably still working there. The truth is that Yakubets' father-in-law, Edward Bendersky, who owns several private military and security companies, is a former high-ranking FSB officer with direct ties to the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. In fact, he's so well connected that even to this day, he acts as a spokesperson for the FSB's V department, one of Russia's elite anti-terror groups. So it's likely that Bendersky put in some good words for his son-in-law, which prevented him from getting fired from the FSB. But Russia doesn't only enable and support criminal hacking, it also enables money laundering so that their hackers can legally use the money they steal. And Evil Corp is a massive customer here. One of Evil Corp's higher-ups, Igor Turashev, owns 3 companies with offices in the prestigious Moscow Federation Tower, with all of them having ties to SUEX OTC, EggChange, and Cashbank, all of which are known crypto money laundering companies and coincidentally have offices in the same building as Igor Turashev's 3 companies. To make it clear just how much illegal money flows through these companies, we just need to take a look at SUEX OTC, which has processed at least $160 million for ghost companies such as the ones Igor Turashev owns. This amounts to almost 40% of their entire business since 2018. So we could say that laundering money for hackers is a massive business opportunity for them. All of this might seem massive, but keep in mind that this is nothing compared to what traditional banks such as Deutsche Bank have done, with them laundering over $20 billion for both traditional and cyber criminals located in Russia. Either way, it is clear that Evil Corp is a cybercrime syndicate like no other. And even though the entire operation almost collapsed after Andrei Ginkel was arrested in 2015, they managed to regroup and create one of the most feared and dangerous cybercrime syndicates in existence. An organization with special treatment from the government, connections to crypto powerhouses and private military groups, bank accounts with millions upon millions of illegal dollars, and complete freedom in Russia, all while the rest of the world is waiting for an opportunity to snatch it all away from them. Video narrated by Erik Peabody.